Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome back to the Art Saddle Podcast. I'm Copper Kelly, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Kenan Flannery. Say hello, Kenan.
Hello, Copper. Hello, everyone at home. How you all keeping? And before we get into this episode, just want to let you know, as always, you can find us on the Art Saddle Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook, and theartsaddle@gmail.com. If you have any stories, any crack, any musical trivia, films or music, albums you want us to review, just send them over and we'd love to hear. We're hoping, I think Copper can agree, we're trying to build up a bit more interaction among the people that are listening. So, fire them on. But anyway, all that fun stuff out of the way. Copper, how are you keeping?
I'm doing grand. Well, I saw you were playing a live streaming gig there at the weekend up in Athlone. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was good, yeah. So Hudson Guitar Company, they're like an Irish-based guitar company, they make really nice stuff. I put it in the case so I won't take it out, but really nice, affordable guitars. So they got in touch with me to come down and do a show. So I went down, I've done a live stream, really nice, got to hang around that lawn, have a few pints and stuff like that. But it was enjoyable, and you were watching and you said it was good, so that's a good thing. You know, you're a hard man to impress.
Not at all. I think I joined about halfway through the stream. I missed the start of it, mad. But I saw you, and you had Benny doing the sound for you. He was, I went to Athlone for college and I used to go into the sound factory. Benny was the guy who owned it. So I knew it was Benny. I could hear his voice asking you questions off the side of the stream. So, jeez, that's Benny. And I texted him and I said hello. That's good crack, all right.
He's a good lad, he is. He's a good lad. I went down to him the next day before I got the train, and I just sat in the shop with him and just chatted about music. And nice guy. Good soul. Yeah. Tell me though, I don't know how much you're allowed to share, but we mentioned the last week about you working on a video, and I got to see it, and I just want to say, anyone that's listening, it's fucking awesome, and you should be excited to see it, and excited to hear the song, because it's unreal. It's very different to a lot of the other stuff you put out, and it's beautiful. I love the chorus. I've been singing it. It's always in my head, and I'm just walking around, and I'm like,
good.
And I'm going at it.
It passes the old grey whistle test, so
it does indeed. So how much can you say? Do you want to?
No, the video. I have new singles coming out. No Front Door. It'll be coming out. I have a date, the 14th of July. So that's when it'll drop. Drop like it's hot, I guess, whatever you want to say. I don't know.
Drop. I love this rap.
I'd be all bombastic and ooh.
It's gonna be a rap album,
but,
isn't
it? Yeah. But the video is recorded. I think we have a few little edits to do, but other than that, it's pretty much done. And I'm getting ready to send a single out to radio stations and pitching it to playlists and all this kind of stuff, the usual stuff you have to do in the promotional cycle for a single. So it's gearing up, it's getting ready. But you're working on a video yourself, Kenan. I don't know how much can you tell about that one, or is that
quiet?
I
think I mentioned it. I
you sent it to me and I loved it, but it's quiet at the moment. Is it? Are you keeping it under wraps?
No. I mentioned it during the live stream. It must have been earlier.
Yes, okay.
Because I did it at one point in the live stream, and I mentioned that it was coming out. I'm thinking sometime in August. But as we were talking about, I'm making sure I get everything done, organise all the press stuff that I need to send out. So once I announce it, I can just start shooting mails and stuff out. But it's called Manchester Streets. And I was written about my time. One night I went to Manchester. So it was a bit of crack. And I'm glad you like it.
I really do. I think it's one of my favourite songs of yours now. I know a lot of people haven't heard it yet, so and they can't hear it until August, unfortunately. That's a long time away now, Kenan.
It is now.
Maybe it's not as long as I think in my head, I guess. But
well, we're at the end of June now, so it's like a month.
June, July, August. Yeah, I suppose.
It might release it soon. I'm really not. I'm just thinking.
I don't want to put you under pressure now. You're all right.
Yeah, it's out today.
Yeah,
but
well, listen now.
No, I wrote it years ago, so I used to play it at shows and stuff. And I know there's a couple of live videos and places. Do you know yourself when you're going, you write these songs and you have a load of songs written, and you start going and releasing and recording from the oldest up to the most recent. So you like, there's songs that like I should start playing them more. You know what I mean? Because I have songs that I'm thinking of releasing, but I just haven't played them in years. So
I'm the same. No Front Door. Actually, I think I wrote it like 2 years ago, something like that. So it's been sitting there a while, but I finally, actually it took me a while to produce it properly and slow. I kind of pick at different projects, so I don't work all on one project. I kind of juggle maybe 10, 12 songs at once and do bits on each. and they finally get done one bit by bit, and then they're ready to go. That's been 2 years I wrote that song. And so I have a good bunch of them kind of things. You probably have yourself. You have probably a whole chunk of songs that haven't even seen the light of day yet.
Yeah, I have a few. I'm the same as you. I'm picking away on projects and recording and kind of snipping away.
Yeah, it's
draining just doing one thing. But
you have to listen to the same song 200 times, and you're just kind of sick of it by the time you even have half it done. Like,
I think it's an interesting approach as well, because like for example, when you write the song, your style or the way you the way you like put yourself out there as an artist will probably change. So it's probably a lot different now to what, like you're probably a lot different now to you were 2 years ago when you wrote it.
Yeah.
So you get to take this song that you wrote years ago and like almost like sprinkle in the new you, quote unquote, in it. So it almost becomes a brand new song, Yeah.
If I had done it 2 years ago, it wouldn't sound half as good as what I can make it today. That's why I look at it. Yeah. So your sound evolves, your style evolves all the time. So you kind of combine the two, the new style with the old song, and work better.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Kenan, let's do our weekly segment of Kenan's News.
Welcome back to News at 9. I'm Deborah Harris, so I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Harris.
I'm trying to think of some generic like.
Oh, Jesus, Sharon, you've all on. Oh, Jesus. Tá Camillach's a spare.
Tá Camillach's. Tá sé floch.
Tá sé floch.
Tá May floch. So yeah, I'll let you start. But tell me some interesting news you have for us for the week.
Okay. So we have our first big music festival is coming. It's going ahead in Ireland, I suppose you could say. It's the Kilmainham Royal Hospital Kilmainham in Dublin on July 3rd, Saturday. It will be Ireland's first big music festival since the whole plague time started. So this is going to have 3,500 people. And the people who will be playing are Gavin James Lyra, which I don't know, Denise Shaila, which I also don't know, but best of luck to him, Sharon Shannon, Weaver Lingo, Wild Youth as well. And event will be hosted by the two Johnnies, no less. Two famous Irish podcasters, which I've actually yet to listen to. But fair play to them as well. But 3,500 people. And I think you have to buy your tickets in pods of 4 or 5. Tickets are something like 40 quid each, which is actually not so bad. I thought it'd be really expensive because, you have to, recoup costs of such a low capacity crowd, let's say. But around 40 quid. And how they're not getting away with it, how they're doing it is you have to get the rapid antigen test before you go in. But they're not saying about anything about having to test like a week or two later. Nothing about that yet. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. Would you go to it if you could? If you get a ticket?
Well, I think you have to remember that it's not 40 quid. It's like 40 quid times 4. You know what I mean? So it's I think they.
Oh yes, you have to get a pod. You have to go with.
You know what I mean?
People,
and it's also how much is the antigen? Like, how do you have to pay for that, or is that?
That's probably like, I don't know, 100 quid. I don't know how much it is.
You know what I mean? Because heading, if you want to go abroad now, you can get flights to England for 20 quid, but you still have to pay 90 quid each way for a COVID test. So it's kind of like, I think people have to remember that there is a lot of like 40 quid for a festival. Like, would I go?
Not even taking into account the price of pints. Jesus,
Jesus,
you'd be ruined.
And they'd be in shitty plastic cups.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be a full pint.
Not at all, not at all. But I think I think I would. I'm not gonna be rushing, or I'm not gonna be like sitting at like 9 o'clock in the morning waiting for tickets.
Yeah.
There's no one in the lineup that I'm particularly like big fans of. So I don't think
same here.
But I think we always talk about sometimes I'm quite pessimistic about things, and I like to bring that in, but not say it too much, because I don't want to put a big downer on what we're doing here.
I was trying to be positive, Kenan.
A new festival away.
Debbie Downer coming in now and giving his thoughts.
The lineup is fucking shite.
I'm not on it.
Me and Kappa, whack us on it. Why can't we host it? I think, in all honesty, like, with the mess that the first, was it James Morrison or something? Or James
McMurrow, James Morrison. I don't know.
Like that festival, like, kind of turned out, that gig turned out to be a bit of a failure. And I think a lot of people gave out about it, because a lot of people are saying what they should have done is they should have done a show a week. They planned that and they went, this is going to be a big new thing. And it was isolated. You know what I mean? They had the people coming in, like 500 people, and then nothing else was announced. A lot of people said that what they should have done is they should have put a show on every week, make it like a weekly series thing.
Yeah.
And then check the numbers, check the finances. You know, if you set up a stage for one show and you tear the fucking thing back down, of course you're financially going to be ruined if you can't fill it to its capacity.
Yeah.
You know, none of us were shocked when they were like, it wasn't financially viable. And we're like, well, duh. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 500 fucking people at it. You know what I mean? Like, if you set that stage up and said, for the next 6 weeks, every Thursday, we're going to have a gig, gives more people opportunities to book gigs and go. The stage, you know, there's cost to running the thing. But, you know, you're probably going to, I think the longer it goes on, the better you are going to recouping some of the fund.
Yeah, do it more regularly on a small scale instead of small scale once every now and again.
So I think with this gig, everyone's going to be excited. It's all going to go ahead. And then it's going to be used by the government to like, just be like, well, see, why should we open the sector? There's no money in it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it's going to be really good press, but I think we're very far behind the rest of the world.
Oh, geez.
Other places are doing festivals and are doing well.
Even the Eurovision, I think that was Europe's biggest musical event since the start of the plague times. So I think it was the biggest test, I suppose. But I haven't heard anything, negative come out about it. Since, like, there haven't been an uptick in cases or anything like that. So it seemed to have kind of gone off nice and without a hitch and all. So it's, I suppose, but Europe is more vaccinated than we are here in Ireland. And I haven't a clue when I'll be getting the vaccine, because it hasn't been announced yet for our age range. And even I'm like 10 years older than you are. So when are you going to get it? Like, so it's kind of nuts. Cuckoo bananas. But
Cocoa bananas, yeah. I think old age will kill us before anything else does.
By the time we get that,
like, Jesus Christ. But I think the government needs to stop patting itself on the back for shit like this. It's like, this isn't like, we have a festival. It's like, well, we get the short end of the stick in terms of vaccines, and like we are really far behind compared to like most places. So like, as much as I want the art industry to open, like, having one gig and then telling everyone it was a failure, and all of us going, well, duh, like, of course it was a failure. Like, and we knew that was going to happen, because, you know, it's like an isolated event, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, unless there's a load of drinkers, they're not going to make the money, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I fucking...
But this leads us on to, I suppose, your next story about Mr. Elton John.
Elton John, Mr. Sir Elton John.
Mr. Rock and Man himself.
Rocket Man himself. Yes. Oh, he's going nowhere. He's not even playing man. He's just stay at home man at the moment.
Stay at home, man.
Because he's giving out about. I wrote down Elton John. What did I say? Elton John mad about Brexit. That's what I wrote.
Yeah. In fact, he's livid. You could say.
He's livid. I think that very livid. You know.
I love that word.
Elton John.
You're so angry. You're livid.
You're livid.
It's beyond angry.
Elton John is fucking pissed.
Yeah.
At Britain's handling of the music industry, and he also talked about like the art industry in general.
Yeah. Actors, directors.
Post Brexit.
Yeah.
And basically, what he said was, with Brexit, one of the things that were put across was there is no guarantee for visa-free travel for musicians outside of Britain, you know. And he talks a bit about how this sector is £111 billion, like that's how much money it brings into Britain, and they're like just kind of shrugging it off.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I didn't really hear much during the whole Brexit shit. I didn't hear much about like the art industry. There wasn't much talk. It was all about trade. Everything was about trade.
Yeah,
what are we going to do about trade? I didn't really hear anything about the industry.
And that's the thing about being part of the EU. You have, we could go over to Germany tomorrow. Just catch a train to Germany and get a job. No problem. No visas. No nothing. And you can travel all around Europe. You don't have a visa. You don't. You have to have a passport. Just kind of get in, like, but you don't necessarily have a visa to work or anything like this. We could get a gig anywhere in Europe, no problem at all, whatever it is. But obviously, leaving EU is going to cause Britain to have to start applying for visas and all this kind of stuff now to get jobs, and in Europe. And obviously, being a musician, a big part of it is touring and traveling, hopping country to country, and it's just throwing. Obviously, Europe is a very big market for UK musicians. So it's kind of throwing a huge banner of work, not being able to just hop on a train and go play a gig, but having to fill in visas and the costs and the time wait and all that stuff. It's going to be involved in all that now. It's going to be an absolute nightmare for musicians. I feel sorry for them, like, because I doubt there were very many musicians that were pro Brexit. It's all the older generation, the more nationalistic parts of the population would have been pro Brexit, and they wouldn't even consider this kind of stuff. Like,
but they're not looking towards the future. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of the older generation, they're like, well, this is what I think now.
Yeah, we have to go back to the good old days when we were the British Empire. This kind of
type of thing, and you forget that.
That's their mindset.
But it's also the thing of saying we're so connected now that, like, to the whole saying of like, we should not know that this many people exist. Like, digitally, like, that's why everyone is like always giving out about everything nowadays, because we know so much about other people, and that's a good thing and a bad thing at times. But I think it's good for artists because you can go around, you can go, okay, well, I can build up a fan base in Munich, and at the same time I can build up a fan base in Paris and Stockholm, and I could go over there and do shows, and I'm not like, you're not dependent on what your manager knows and who they know. Yeah. You can actually do it if you're smart about it and you have put little tricks in. You can build fan bases all over the world and really quickly. But it's like, I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know. Do you know about the visas? Like, do they have to like state where they're going, which countries and stuff?
Oh, definitely would, yeah. And it'd be the visa would be for the particular. Probably, I'd assume it would be for the particular country you're looking to get into. So
see, that's what I was thinking. So
yeah, you can't. I'm getting a visa to Europe. That wouldn't work. You have to get a visa to France and then get a visa to Germany and wherever else you're going.
So the money,
that's
the
wait times, the paperwork, the filling forms. I hate filling forms.
and it means like it'll be the end of like last minute gigs.
Yeah,
right. It's like you'll always see them going. They'll do a big show and whatever, and then they'll go, okay, well, I'm gonna do. There's a coffee shop down the road, or there's a small venue. I'll do a surprise gig there, or I have a day off I might swing into, I'm on the border of Austria. I might go to Austria for a day, on my day off. And like, there's none of that. There's all. So it's going to take a lot of that. And I think that's going to make it more expensive for musicians.
Yeah.
I also think maybe if you're a manager, you might be able to charge more.
But then that's going to lead to less bookings because you only cost too much. So there's that then as well, yeah. So
typically people in Britain, just like us, a lot of big artists, would go, if the venue, if they're big enough, the venue, the bookers and the manager, they'll sort out their travel, they'll play, and then they're going, well, I'm in Germany anyway. Can I book any shows around?
Yeah.
Or I'm right beside the border or whatever. Let's go there for a show, whatever. But now I reckon a lot of artists might just start toning down gigs in Europe. So like, it's not worth it. It's not worth the wait, and it's not worth the panic and the pricing for you. And then obviously on top of that, with COVID, I know we were talking about venues and gigs slowly but surely coming back in Europe, but it's still not back to full capacity.
No.
So not only is it more expensive to travel and play as an artist, you're also not making the same amount of money because you're not selling shows as much as you can.
Yeah. And I actually noticed as well, there's a musician I absolutely love called Devin Townsend, and he is going on a European tour in April of next year, and he's actually starting in Dublin. I think it's April 13th or something like that, or 21st or something, in April, and his first gig's in Dublin. But then I just looked through the rest of the list, and all the rest of it is just Europe and not one in UK, not one. And generally he would obviously tour in the UK while he's over here because he's in Canada. So that's obviously it's a big undertaking to come across from Canada, bring a band with you, set, stage and all that kind of crack. But the fact that there's no actual UK dates on that European tour, it kind of is a bit telling as well. It might be a bit too much hardship for even a Canadian or an American, whoever, to book gigs in the UK. Because maybe the system is so kind of, I know, they haven't got settled yet. So, so there's probably a whole heap of roadworks, or, a whole heap of roadblocks stopping even other artists coming into the UK. So it's really going to throw it all into a bit of chaos now for the next few years, I'd say, for England.
I didn't even think of that, artists landing in the UK. Yeah, I always thought of it as the struggle of an English artist, but now think of people going over, and that's it. A lot of
same with us going over. If we wanted to go over to the UK now and gig, we'll have to get a UK visa and try to get a few gigs while we're over there to make it worth our while, I suppose you could say.
Worth that while, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit, because a lot of regular people like us, like, probably haven't dealt, like, I haven't gone to the States yet, so I've never had to go through the process of getting a visa. Do you know? And it's like, so I think a lot of just average soaps that might want to go, do this or do that, now they're like, boom, they hit with the visa card, and you're going, well, what the fuck do I do? Where do I go from it? It's like, yourself when you're applying for a visa, it's like when you're like doing anything with like the social welfare, or like you have to do that, fill out forms, like it's so hard, and the websites are from like the 19 pleading the early 2000s, I say. Them awful websites,
like,
really
the 1990s ones,
like horrific.
Remember the Space Jam website? It was actually still live for a long time, the 1990s one, but they only recently redid it because there's a new movie coming out. But it was like pure 90s bliss. Click into it. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's so hard it's easier. It's kind of easier to find information, but at the same time, just like, paperwork and all this kind of shit it's not my bag, but it has to be done.
Well, everything is frequently asked question pages.
Yeah,
which does my head in.
Yeah,
everything everything for the government is that. Everything is just like, oh, you have a question? Look at that frequently asked question.
Oh no, you can't call anyone to ask them. God, no, not at all.
Oh God, why would you even
think you do that? Why would you think of that?
We've sacked everyone. Why would you even think of that? And like sometimes you just need to like, you know, when you call, like the amount of times I've called fucking the revenue office and being like, they're like, what's the problem? I'm like, well, and I just go into a big tangent because I don't really know what my question is, but I just tell them what I'm doing, and they're like, oh, okay, this is your problem. You can't really do that with like a page because you kind of need to know your problem to find it out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like,
good.
I don't know, and they're like, well, we fucking do, so here you go. And you're like, thank you.
Yeah.
But you don't want that anymore.
But
Too much hassle.
We'll have to definitely keep an eye on this whole Brexit situation, see how things are going to go for everyone. But I suppose
I want to ask you about news.
Yeah.
You were chatting about what was it called? Lossless audio?
Lossless.
Lossless. Lossless.
Lossless. Loosey-goosey, baby.
It's like Facebook.
Facebook.
So tell me about
Twitter.
that and Tidal and all that fun stuff.
Yes. Yeah, so this is kind of, I suppose it's a news story in a way, and it's also a talking point. But for last few years, Tidal is a music service owned by Jay-Z. I think Rihanna and stuff have to do with shares in it as well or something like this. But Tidal were the only streaming platform where you could actually listen to lossless audio, or also known as like the master version of the track. Basically, lossless is in the name. It doesn't lose any part of the file in any kind of compression process. So when you record a song, it generally goes down into like a WAV format, which is 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz. It's all, the whole spectrum of sound. There's nothing lost. But then when that's converted into an MP3, it makes the file smaller. It also gets rid of information that's not, hugely apparent to the listener. But it just takes a lot of the audio spectrum out. That's not necessarily needed, but it is still needed in a way. So it makes the file smaller, and also kind of degrades the signal, the audio quality a bit. But lossless audio is the full sound as recorded on the day in the studio. And other streaming platforms are now starting to do this, starting to implement this, like Apple and Spotify, and they're calling it the hi-fi tier, something like that. Now, I don't know if they're going to pay extra. You have to pay extra for it now, because I would assume you would, because it is a lot more. File sizes are bigger, and it's going to cost more for them to store it and be able to send it to you and all this kind of stuff. But it is good that other services are now going to start providing this. But the thing is, it won't work very well if you're on, say, Bluetooth headphones or AirPods, because as soon as you send a full lossless audio track over Bluetooth, there's going to be data lost in that Bluetooth connection anyway. So if you're thinking of listening to hi-fi lossless audio on your AirPods or your Bluetooth headphones or anything like that, you're not going to get the full picture. You're not going to get the full sound. So I think you mentioned earlier, I think one of our mutual favorite YouTube channels called Dank Pods. There's a guy in New Zealand who basically kind of talks about headphones and old iPod docks and old nuggets, as he calls them, old MP3 players. I've watched this guy for a long time, but he kind of reviews high definition headphones and that kind of stuff, and he talks about lossless technology a lot and stuff like this. But the thing is, like, you might not immediately hear the difference. If I put a pair of headphones on, you can go, that's the MP3 of it now, and here's the lossless. It won't be absolutely immediate that you know, oh yeah, that sounds way better. But it will. It's very subtle, you see. You'll get a bigger picture of the sound. The sound stage will kind of increase. You might be able to hear where people are in the mix a bit better. Oh, the guitar's over here to the left, and there's this little triangle over here to the right, and there's where you mightn't hear it as clearly as you would on just a standard MP3. But have you tried Tidal yourself, or have you experienced, say, Flax? Flax, another way of downloading lossless music. Have you messed with it at all? Have you tried to listen to the differences, anything like that?
We did a bit in college, so and I think anyone at home, if you want to try kind of getting a picture of what we're talking about, you can look up videos on YouTube, and I know that's
going to kill us straight away.
Defeats the point anyway.
Yeah.
But if you look up different audio types, and there'll be like videos where they'll play one piece of audio and they'll put it through like 8-bit, 16-bit, and you'll hear the difference in kind of audio as the sound gets more developed and quality gets better. And as we said, the minute you listen on YouTube, you're already fucking yourself over.
Yeah, YouTube will compress the absolute living shite out of the audio. So, especially.
But if you want to.
Yeah, if you ever listen to music demos or gear demos or anything like that on YouTube, it's not going to be the full picture because YouTube compresses the crap out of the audio. So it's not the full spectrum. It's very lossy audio, as they call it.
Lossy, yeah.
Lossy.
Or loosey.
Loosey.
But if you want to get a general idea of like the subtleness of like changes, you can check out different audio like previews, and people do videos and stuff like that. But do keep in mind, as we said, it's still compressing the shit out of them. But I haven't really got to mess with it. I do know, I think ThankPod said it in the video that Apple Music are going to be doing it for no extra cost.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, which he said it's a low blow for Tidal, because Tidal are like
definitely
charging extra.
Yeah, Tidal is, I think it's 20 quid a month as it is for full quality audio. Whereas Spotify and Apple are around what? I think I'm paying $9.99 for Spotify. I think Apple's about that, 10, 11 euros, something like that. It's sort of the same. So immediately half the price. And I don't know, I use Spotify now, so I don't know if they're going to charge extra now or not. But
you get a student discount and everything. So if you have a student card,
that's it. The thing is, to be able to really be able to enjoy it fully, you're not going to be able to listen to on like €20 headphones as you're on the bus. You're just not going to hear it properly. So, you will need like a decent set of either speakers or a decent set of headphones to be able to actually hear the difference in the audio quality. And it's just more lush. It's more, it's just, it gives you goosebumps. It's if you're a real audio lover, it's something to look at. But if you're just a casual listener, the regular MP3s or the regular streaming quality is good enough anyway.
As we say, if just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
As you said, if you just listen heading to work, or I'll get a crappy pair of like €6 earbuds.
Yeah.
Because these are my listening studio pair. I have speakers here. I have another set of like decent enough Behringers that I would like also test mixes on and stuff like that. I would listen on them.
Yeah.
And I get excited, almost sexually aroused when I hear a nice audio, good, clean audio. But not through the buzz. If you're on the bus, you probably just want to listen to something.
Yeah.
But if you are into audio,
the small subtleties.
Yeah. You just want to drown out fucking annoying fuckers.
Yeah.
But if you're into like audio and stuff, you're into your audio headphones, and you're into like have a nice set of speakers, then maybe check it out. But I think I think at the end of the day, it does boil down to kind of the end of Tidal in a way. Because I think if you're into audio, if you are into like finding pristine, high quality audio, you're probably on Tidal already. If you're just, and I feel like a lot of, I don't know, I feel like not many people will go, oh, there's higher quality coming out. Well, I should buy a really good set of headphones and do this and do that. Yeah. I think a lot of people that are already into this and already into trying to get the highest definition of audio they can they probably know about Tidal, they're probably on it. So I think the biggest thing for a lot of people go, if Apple Music and Spotify start doing it cheaper, Tidal is
That's it.
You
And
know,
the thing, Tidal actually paid out the most. Well, the third most. They pay out the third most per stream as well. So that's, I don't know if
Who
I've
pays
ever
it?
had much of my music played on Tidal, but I would have got paid more for it if I did. But like say for instance, like Spotify, they only pay out 0.003 per stream, and it'll take hundreds and thousands even just to make €1. But I think Tidal is 0.009, so it's 3 times what Spotify pays. Still a whole lot, not a whole lot, but they do pay a bit more. So it'd be great if they did stick around, obviously, if they, or even at least if other Spotify start paying out a bit more if your hi-fi audio got played instead of your regular audio or something like that. That'd be kind
do you
of
think
cool.
they will?
No, not at all. It'd be cool, but I don't think it'll happen. So, especially if they're not going to pay, if they're not going to charge for it, they won't charge. You won't pay out anymore. If they start charging for it, maybe might be a possibility, but maybe not. Still, it's kind of hard to tell.
Because it's mad. It's like I think it's exciting from an audio aspect because it's gonna like kind of expose more people to the like a lot of some people might not even realize that like
no, yeah,
there's
people
different
wouldn't
audio.
really care. Yeah,
Yeah.
They wouldn't notice. They wouldn't.
So some people might
people
be
listen
exposed
out
to
the
it now.
speaker of their phone. So that's that obviously wouldn't lossless audio wouldn't matter in that case either. But
Some people might be
for those
exposed to it
that
more,
really
which is
like their audio.
exciting. I think it's
Say
bad
again?
for artists, though. I think more people will be exposed to it, which is exciting. But if they're gonna give it free, if they're not gonna hire the payout for artists, I think it's weirdly scary because we talked about this a few times that like how Spotify seems to be like monopolizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They might start adding videos. They have podcasts now, and a lot of people listen to podcasts on Spotify, and
yeah.
so everything's
There's
becoming just
exclusives. Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
terrifying.
Barack Obama and his wife, they have separate podcasts, and then what's it called? Joe Rogan is exclusive on Spotify as well. So they're trying to really get people to stay on Spotify for everything. And as I see it as well, they're kind of starting to make a kind of almost a social media platform in itself that has music, has videos, has podcasts. So I think it's going to evolve eventually into something like that.
Yeah.
Where it'll be like almost like an alternative to Facebook, but with music and video. But yeah, it's obviously another thing to keep our eye on. Anyway, as things develop, we'll bring you more news, I suppose.
We will. We always do.
So, do you want to move on to our next talking point that you brought up before the show?
Yeah. I think this is. I said to you, I don't know how entirely mental it is for people outside Dublin, but for someone that's lived in Dublin all their life, Vicar Street, one of the biggest venues, well, one of the most like historic venues in Dublin, and it would be my favorite venue of all time. When the back of it went on fire there about, I think it was like last night or early in the morning or something like that, like just past like a couple of past 28 48 hours.
So are you talking like the backstage area or back of the building?
No, like the back of the building. So it as far as I read, and I didn't read a lot, but as far as my little research came
only
across,
the best, you lovely listeners.
there you go. That's the joy. I give you half, and sometimes I just make up shit. And you just have to fucking figure out for yourself. You know what I mean? But it didn't look like there was really bad damage. But I think like I don't know. I don't want to be like conspiracy hat on, but I think it's like
buckle up, everyone.
I think it's foreshadowing the like that end to like the way we saw a live show, because Vicar Street has always been such a historic, incredible venue. Like I walked by it the other day, and like yourself, it's just big glass panes, so you can see right into the bar, and it's all just torn up and shit is thrown everywhere, and the big statue they had in the middle was like just fucking in bits, and it's like, you know, like how can that venue recover and become like financially viable again? Which I think if that closed down, I think that would be a really big blow to, like, you know, music venues. Like that opened for music in '98, which to me I felt like it was a lot older.
Yeah, I would have thought it was a lot older than that. Yeah,
but as a music venue, I'm sure it's done stuff in the past, but as a music venue, it opened in '98, and like,
right,
many people in Dublin would say the best gig ever was when Aslan played there. And a lot of people say Aslan, like Vicar Street is Aslan's venue. You know, they put on incredible shows in that place, and I thankfully got to see them. And I know, I don't know if you've seen, but Christy Dignam was chatting about having trouble.
I was just about to say,
having trouble financially. So it's, I don't know, this thing, knowing that even at his level, you know, there's very little financial support, you know, and we're going, well, we're fucked.
Nothing, he said he had loads of savings, and then he just burned through them, and he's on to like, he's not sure if he can pay the mortgage this month, kind of thing. So it's very, very tough.
Very sad. But
Vicar Street, so I'm outside Dublin, obviously I'm from Wexford, but I was here. Tommy Tiernan live at the Vicar Street, and you know, it's a synonymous name with gigs in Dublin. And I actually only went once now. I went to see a Swedish metal band called Opeth, and I sat in the back, and the sound was gorgeous, the lighting was gorgeous, everything just perfect venue. It was small. You could see I was sitting right at the back, but I was like not 100 miles away from the band either, and the sound, the acoustics in the place, lovely, and so hopefully that won't have been my one and only gig that I've gone to it in. So hopefully it'll be able to recover for this. Do you know how much damage was done or anything?
No, it popped up. Nothing's just come out. Maybe during at this podcast, more might pop out. And if you're listening, you look it up, there might be more about the finances of what happened. But like firemen and all was brought, and it seemed to be put out like internally. It's apparently it's okay, which is good, but it's still just in my head. I just feel like it's a sign. It's that foreshadowing of going like, this isn't going to get better. This is going to get worse before we pull through. You know what I mean? And I think it is scary because, like, as you said, the way it's laid out, big open area in the middle. We put chairs, and then there's chairs along the sides, and then there's a balcony with chairs, and it's not like a triangle. It's in a fucking square shape, and really good. I've seen Passenger there, which is like a solo artist, super intimate. Even if you were tired and you were tired of standing, if you sat down, you could still very clear. You could see. I went to see Bert Kreischer as well.
Comedian.
The Machine. And he, after he went into the bar and he just had drinks with people and shit, it was mad cool. But he fucking tables. Same way, I know, like Christy Moore, there's like really good shows there as well. Very intimate, really good sound. But then, as you said, you can whack a Swedish metal band in, you can whack Aslan, which is a full band, you can whack all these rock bands in, and they blow the fucking roof off the place because it's just it's such a diverse, like easily adjustable venue. It works perfectly. Yeah, it's really historic and all the it's really beautiful. And if you haven't been, I think hopefully, I was gonna say you should go. But I think hopefully if you haven't been, let's hope you can go, because I think it's a beautiful venue. And the points aren't too expensive either, I remember.
They're not? Oh, okay. That's good. That's
good. But I'm not being too expensive. So especially for venues. But no, it's mad. It's crazy times we're living in, Copper.
Crazy times. But I suppose I suppose we move on to our last talking point of the evening. It's the other talking point. You suggested as well the different influences of either different genres or different media on musicians.
Yes. So you were saying about we should talk about different genres and how they affect our writing or how they affect a musician and how they kind of the image and the writing and all that. And my thing was drawing up different forms of media, whether it's poetry, films, books, and writing from that. And I think like, you know what people always say, like when you read, you're strengthening the mind. So like your vocabulary like naturally becomes better if you read without even like, and you don't have to read like a fucking thesaurus, you know what I mean? You can, but it's the same of like when you watch a film, how does your like storytelling, like it must like unconsciously improve. You know, if you watch a lot of films or you read a lot of books about story, your writing has to like, I feel like it has to get better naturally because you're taking in this form of like storytelling and writing and
you're kind of exposing yourself to many different types of music, different attitudes and approaches to songwriting, different styles, sounds, everything. And I suppose you might not necessarily know you're taking an influence from something, but someone might come along and listen to a song you've heard. It's like, oh, that sounds like such and such. Like, oh yeah, I used to listen to them actually. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's kind of, but I suppose if you're like, if it was a musician that only listened to one type of music, I'd imagine that, you know, the first few songs might be grand and all, but I'd imagine they get fairly stale fairly quickly if they haven't got, you know, a huge amount of influences outside of their own style, or they're only doing the one type of song again and again. It's going to get pretty stale fairly quickly. So I definitely benefit hugely as a musician from listening to all sorts of genres. Like what would be some genres you'd listen to, Kenan, now that people might not necessarily think of if they're familiar with your music? Because your music is kind of a singer-songwriter, folky kind of music. But what other, like, apart from say Bob Dylan and stuff, what other kind of genres that out of the box that do you listen to?
Yeah, like a lot of people say like I would sound folk country, but I'm a big fan of like Irish like trad. I love reggae and ska music. Like I fucking love like Specials and Eka Mouse, Bob Marley, all this. And
don't the Specials do the song "Message for You, Rudy"? Or is that a different band?
That's the one.
Special. I heard that ad on post our post office ads over the years when I was a kid, and it's like, a message for you, Rudy. I always thought it was me. My real name is Eugene, so I always thought, message for you, Eugene, every time. So that song always stuck with me. But I'm big into Bob Marley and the Wailers and reggae in general as well. It's a big thing for me. Sorry, I cut you off. Go on.
No. It's interesting because I don't know. Tell me what you get from it. Because for me, I think songwriting, one thing, but I think in terms of working as like an engineer or producer, people always say you have to listen to everything. But especially with reggae and ska, I think like when you write a song, you might not see your influence when you record it, but when you listen back to grooves and to like shuffles and kind of stop and goes in the song, you're like, this is very fucking ska or very reggae, even though it's like a country song. You get these kind of this, you know, that movement you get, you know. So it's an interesting kind of.
Actually, I have a point about that actually, because I'd listen to a lot of rock, a lot of metal, a lot of country. I'd listen to reggae. I listen to a bit of everything. As long as it sounds good, I'm happy. But I suppose it comes when I'm, say, producing music, or if I'm producing a particular drum sound. I like a nice hard hitting snare, you know, a nice thick full kick, nice hard hitting snare, like a nice big full modern sounding drum kit. Whereas with country, sometimes it's about this like a little small, little slappy kind of drum sound in the background. So I had a friend said to me, I send him one of my songs and say, hey, here, have a listen to this mix and tell me what you think. And he goes, oh, I think that snare is a bit too snappy for country. I'm like, I hear you what you're saying, but I like how it is. And I don't want to just change the sound of a snare because it should sound like this kind of snare because it's a country song. It's like, but it is a snare and it sounds good. And if people like it, then great. If they don't, there's plenty of other songs to go listen to.
But it's also like, as you said, if you stick in one genre, you become very stale.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the landscape of like mainstream pop has always been so quick changing and so like volatile, because in my head it's either, I don't think it's the artist half the time, I think it's like managers or producers go, here's a formula, we're gonna put you into it.
This sound is so hot right now, you should release a track like this.
But a lot of the long standing kind of heroes and music legends of our time are people that like have a particular sound and it's infused with other genres. Joe, a great example is fucking Sting, right? Do you ever hear like the stuff he does with I think it was on NPR, he did it with
Shaggy.
Shaggy, that's it.
Shaggy, yes.
It was
that
super, like you could tell he was, like it wasn't like he was playing along. You could tell he was feeling it. And Jamaican man in New York. See, a little throwback, because you did a Jamaican impression not too long ago.
Down by the beach, yes. Beacan.
Beacan. Zebedee.
Shaggy. Zebedee.
But Sting's shit is so like, and if you listen to like the Police and all that, like their sound has always been evolving. I think it's the reason why they've always been relevant. Same with like Bob Dylan selling out. I think he was just like, fuck it. I think I read something where he was just like, I want to play electric guitar now. Like that was just, he was like, I'm gonna do it now.
There's this new technology I want to try. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and everyone was like, stop! I don't like it, it's new. And everyone,
Devil's work.
Disgusting music from Satan. But yeah, how do you, is there any genres that you take from that we wouldn't necessarily?
I'd say metal is a big one. Even in my country music, I think metal is a big influence. Very subtly, like it's not very overbearing and not very obvious. Yeah, in the lead guitar, I think, I suppose it'd be kind of Tin Lizzy inspired as well, like, hard rock Tin Lizzy kind of harmonies and this kind of stuff. I think in my song Get Gone, I have a lead guitar and it harmonizes with the violin, but I was told it sounded very Tin Lizzy-ish. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that. That's a good compliment. Thank you. So I think that's the thing. And I think I have a song called Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which is kind of metal in itself, like to talk about the end of the world and stuff. But it's kind of a diddle-diddle-diddle-doo. So it's kind of a metal vibe to it, I guess, but without, distortion guitars or loud aggressive vocals or anything like that. Exactly, yeah. So I think that's a big one on me. And then a little bit, I suppose maybe reggae is a big thing for me as well. Like, so I don't know if it has any particular influence on the music I'm writing or anything, but the vibe, the easygoing vibe is probably there, I guess. So yeah. So it's definitely, if you are a musician and you only listen to one type of song or one type of music that you work in, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, and you should start kind of exploring. I suppose if you are a musician anyway, you don't have to tell, either of us need to tell you to go explore music. You're probably doing it anyway. So it's kind of, but even just a casual music listener should just go off and step outside the box, listen to other music that you wouldn't necessarily come across or pick to choose to listen to, and you might be surprised now, because I'm a fecker at like parties or whatever. I always throw on the maddest music on YouTube just to see how people react to it. Like
people like it or not.
And most of the time, people are like, "Wow, this is amazing. Where has this been in my life? Where has this been all my life and stuff?" So I always love kind of challenging people's perspectives and, give them a little shock and say, well, there's other stuff out here than just Rihanna or whatever,
I think you said
Rihanna's not so relevant. Go on.
No, yeah, she's not so relevant.
I haven't heard her. Yeah, she's not so relevant anymore.
That is.
No, I didn't mean to that. Like, I keep using Rihanna. Recently, I keep using Rihanna as an example.
Copper Kelly takes
she hasn't released anything
Rihanna.
in like a year or two.
But you mentioned about
come at me.
swing digs. You noticed you said about musicians, and you're like, if you're a musician, you probably listen to the genre. But casual music listeners should. And I think that statement is true about 5-6 years ago. But now, with the ever-growing presence of social media and branding and imagery, and you're in charge of everything you do as an artist, I think a lot of artists would go, back in the day, like, I think people would have a lot of different influences and go, okay, well, I'm going to infuse these and write music. And they probably never even thought of it. They probably didn't go, I want to take they probably just wrote shit and was like, holy shit, I'm taking influence from all this stuff. But I think even now, musicians that are starting, like young people that are starting to write, they might hear like one Ed Sheeran song and they see how he posts on Instagram and they'll go, I want to be like that. And it's like, just stop, just pull back.
It's going to be a carbon copy.
There you go. Pull back and look at it and go, I like that. And I think I always say this, I always say this to like friends of mine that aren't necessarily into music as much as I am. And I think this is one thing that I've learned from college was, I say to my sister a lot, my sister's 11, and I always say to her, if you like something, like, try to understand why you like it. You know what I mean? And not in a way of going, like, don't kill everything you like by just trying to investigate. But if you like a song, you like a song from an artist, but you don't like his other songs or her other song, it is really, you learn a lot by going, well, what do I like about it? And a lot of people go, well, I don't know. And it's like, well, sit down and think about it. And you go, well, I like the way, even if you don't understand, I like the way, see the way it sounds like two people are singing, or sounds like she's in a big room. It's like, oh, reverb. Like, oh, you like what she did with her vocals. Cool. And you start kind of understanding. And I think as an artist, if you do that, especially with the wacky world of social media now, if you start picking songs you like and go, oh, this song was the reason I wanted to start writing. It's like, well, if you try to understand it in a way, but understand why it got you to start writing, I think you learn a lot, not only about the artist, but about yourself and about what you want as an artist. And I think it's it's an interesting little point.
Yeah, that's it. And yes, you also had another question you wanted to ask.
I do.
Songs? Yes.
I do. I have two questions, but I want to ask this, because when I said it to you, you got excited, and I got excited as well. I was like, oh. A song that you wish. That you wish. Is there a song out there that you wish you wrote?
Yeah, okay. Kenan asked me this just before the podcast. I have two approaches to this question. So a song I wish I wrote. If I was looking at it from the perspective of that, a song that's hugely successful and I could get paid royalties for the rest of my life without having to ever write another song ever and not lift my finger to do a tap of work, then that song would probably be Fairy Tale of New York. That song is played consistently.
That is a solid choice.
Every year. Yes. Every Christmas is solidly played, and sure himself, what's his name? Himself. What's his name? Jerry Mackey's name escapes me now. The Vogue's guy, the singer.
Yeah, I know.
Shane MacGowan.
Shane MacGowan.
Yeah. He probably gets maybe a few $100,000 every year just off the back of that song in royalty checks. And like, if there ever a song you wish you wrote, it'd be that one. But I suppose if you're if you're going from the artistic side of it and not thinking about the money, then then I would be thinking, I suppose there's like some recent country songs that I would love to have written. Say a Coulter Wall song called "The Devil Wears a Suit and Tie." I love that one, and I know you love that too, Kenan.
It's a super poetic song.
It's very poetic. It's about meeting the devil on the road and giving you some advice and losing your soul. I just love that kind of thing. It's like that Robert Johnson meet the devil at the crossroads. And
yes,
that vibe to it. It's just a style of lyrics, and let me learn you. So what's the line? Let me learn you some. I know a few turns that make all of the girls dance. I love that line as well. Real poetic storytelling kind of song. And there's
it's
one
super
other song I
melodic
wish
as
I
well.
wrote.
The way the guitar is like almost in a weird like call and response to make all the girls dance. Diddle 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 diddle. It's fucking nice. Yeah, good choice.
Yes. It's a good one. And then there's one more as well, is a Sturgill Simpson song, which actually reminds me, I have a movie recommendation, but we'll get to that after this question. Is Turtles All the Way Down? I don't know I think you might have heard me play it on a live stream once, but are you familiar with that song, Turtles All the Way Down?
Not that. What is one of Sturgill's main songs? I'm trying to remember.
He'd have that one, I suppose. I don't know if he has a huge one big hit. I'm not sure if he has those.
I'm gonna look it up here while, just because I know the name. But I did. I think. I definitely think you played it one of the first nights you started doing electric on the lives.
Yeah,
I think you done it then.
Yeah, I think I did it acoustic. Yeah, but yeah, it's like a song about like religion and drugs and looking at life from the cosmos instead of just day to day, face to face kind of stuff. And it's a real big scale kind of song. And it's just like Sturgill Simpson is a kind of singer that you'd nearly have to have the lyrics in front of you on a piece of paper and reading along with him to be able to kind of get the full magnitude of the song. He's one of those kind of songwriters. But definitely I'd recommend, if you'd never heard Sturgill Simpson before, any listener and for yourself, Kenan, I know you'd love him. I'd say if you sat down and listened to him, he's absolutely
listen
fantastic.
to his flax.
Yeah, his flax. Yeah, and even Post Malone did a version. Do you know when Post Malone went country there a few months back? He did. That was a great songs.
Video. I like that video. Yeah. How live streaming
he did. He did one of Sturgill's song, King on Shit Mountain or something. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's like, if you wanted, you can have the crown. That song. That's a really good song as well. So Post Malone knows that Sturgill Simpson is a strong songwriter. So game recognizes game, as they say.
As they say, yes.
But yeah, what would you say now? What song or songs would you have wished to have written?
I think you said to me, you were like, you think what I'm thinking when you said two different approaches. And I wasn't. I was thinking of song writing in terms of like lyrics and poeticness, and then composing in terms of well composed song. And like in terms of artistically, I think one of most fucking Towns Van Zandt songs I would just pick, but there's one song called I'll Be Here in the Morning, and it was my most listened to song last year on Spotify. It's really simplistic, and it just has this story of like he wants to go out on the road and he wants to travel, but he just everything that calls the love of his life always calls him back, and he goes, "Don't worry, close your eyes, I'll be here in the morning." And there's a nice line where he goes, was it the mountains and the rivers and the valleys can't compare to your bluely something eyes and your I'll actually look at the lyrics because I'm fucking awful. I remember stuff, but it's one of these like it's a really, really pure, just pure to the grain love song, and I think if I could write it and whoever I was with for them, I think I would be fucking I'd be a star. Do you know what I mean? They'd love you, and I really like the poeticness of it. I have it here. Fucking. There you go. There you go. There's lots of things along the road I'd surely like to see. I'd like to lean into the wind and tell myself I'm free. But your softest whispers louder than the highway's call to me. Close your eyes, I'll be in the morning. I just really like that.
Beautiful.
Your softest whisper.
Softest whispers are louder than the highway call.
The highway's call to me. Which
Highway's
is so
call to me.
fucking beautiful.
Really nice.
And in terms of composing, there's one song that I'm like, every time I hear it, it just composed so fucking well. And the changes in it, I tried to take influence for Cheap Wine and For Men, and like the other song Eileen that I showed you, that like melodic and complete vibe change in it. It's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover from Paul Simon. Did you ever hear that?
Oh, I definitely have. I can't think of the air of it in my head now, but I'm a big fan of Paul Simon and Simon and Garfunkel. Definitely. Huge fans of them.
It's like, listen to it and rehash the memory. It's fucking... So the chorus has a really nice, like almost bluesy guitar playing and just really fast shuffle drums. Like it has this... And he's singing, but he's talking, you know, and then it stops and then it kicks into this like hard, like, I believe it's like 4/4 grooves, like dum dum ba 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 dum, and it's like get your head going, and it kicks in and everyone's singing, and then it has this kind of bounce to it, and then it stops and goes back to this like and it's just completely like two different vibes, and they work so well together. And I'm just like, if I could write like that, if I could compose shit like that, that would be insane.
That's something to strive for.
That's it. We're always learning.
Aim high, you'll get somewhere along the way. Aim high, shoot low. What's the saying? I can't think of it. But yeah, fair play. And actually thinking, remember you mentioned a week or two ago that we should maybe do a movie recommendation or two. And I said I had one for last week, but I forgot to even say it because we were chatting to Dylan, of course, Dylan Goff, and he got sidetracked by talks of the Amazon rainforest and such. So I didn't want to talk about my movie recommendation, but I don't know if you have one off the top of your head now. I don't think we even talked about this before we came on, but the one I had was The Dead Don't Die, which is it's on Netflix. It only came out onto Netflix about 2 weeks ago, and it's a zombie film, which I always love anyway. And it stars Bill Murray and Adam Driver. And it's a real kind of deadpan, witty, meta kind of a comedy horror, if you look at it that way. It's just really, it's unique. It has its own vibe, its own style. It's not like any other kind of film. And I especially love it because Sturgill Simpson does the theme song for the film, The Dead Don't Die, and it's played at the intro of the film, and then I think it's literally the next scene. Adam Driver and Bill Murray are just driving along in the car, and Adam Driver puts on the CD or put on the radio, and the Sturgill Simpson song goes again, and Bill Murray's like, "I know that song. Where do I know that song from?" And Adam Driver just goes and looks at him and he goes, "Oh, it's the theme song." Bill Murray, "Oh, it's a theme song? Oh, okay." And then just carry on. It's that kind of film. It's just strange. But,
yeah.
And then later on, you actually see Sturgill Simpson as a zombie walking through the street, dragging a guitar behind him. And it's like, oh yes, this film is for me.
I'll check it out because a lot of people would say, like a couple of years ago, zombie films and zombie video games are all the craze, and everyone's like, oh, they're overdone.
Oh, it's oversaturated. Yeah,
I fucking love zombie shit. I think it's so good.
I love it. Yeah,
I don't have a movie. I didn't have a movie recommendation set, but I think if you haven't seen Zombieland, I think check it out.
Oh yeah,
it's such. I really
Bill
like
Murray
the
as
way
well. Sure,
Bill Murray's in it. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, that's kind of a spoiler. But the film's like, I don't know, 6-7 years old at this stage. So it's not really a spoiler.
Well, there's a new one out and all. It's called Double Tap.
Yeah.
Double
I haven't seen that one though. I must watch that one. I haven't seen that one. I loved the first one. That was great. Great fun.
And I really like the way it's like every time something happens, the writing pops up and it's like rule, whatever, like always checks back seats, and they're like it's interactive with the scene. So if they reverse the car, like crash through the letters and shit. That was a great film.
Always wear seatbelts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And I remember when I first seen that film, I was much younger, and it's like it's Metallica. No, like playing at the start.
It's For Whom the Bell Tolls, I think it was.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it's hard, slow motion shots of zombies. And I remember being young and seeing that. And I didn't sleep for weeks. That, like, I don't know if it was the mix of like slow, really up close, gruesome pictures of zombies mixed with like, Satan music. But it was I was terrified seeing it. I was like, I can't watch it. And I remember when I watched it later when I got older, I was actually scared to watch the intro. I was genuinely terrified because I was like, what if I like PTSD? What if I just get all of a sudden traumatized in this intro and I just can't sleep? But it's not now. It's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
But I like the
Speaking of intros to zombie movies, sure, Mr. Zack Snyder is good at the old few intros. So yes, Zack Snyder, he did the Dawn of the Dead remake. I don't know, what was that, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
And the intro had Johnny Cash singing The Man Comes Around. Do you remember this? Have you seen this?
I have.
Heard about this?
It's not clicked up. I know the song.
You're a terrific audience. But it's The Man Comes Around. It's like it's talking about like the pale, the man on the pale horse comes around, and it's like apocalyptic time kind of thing. So it has Johnny Cash singing it, and then sure, as the Army of the Dead was Zack Snyder's almost sequel to the Dawn of the Dead, and the intro, not the first 10 minutes, that's kind of crappy, but the intro part where it shows the zombies taking over Las Vegas, that's a whole lot of fun. And it has like Richard Cheese, the guy who does the lounge versions of like Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. It's like, come on, get up, get down with the sickness. You mother, get up, come on, down with the sickness. So he's singing, I think it's New York or Las Vegas. He's singing that song, and then Alison Krauss comes in and sings a version of it too, and it's just mayhem and calamity for 10 minutes of an intro, and it's class altogether. The film itself is fun. The Army of the Dead is fun. It's not the best thing ever made, but I thought it was fun and it was entertaining, and I enjoyed it. Other people are like, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. But
I've seen worse.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes people have too high expectations for movies, and they're just like, oh, that was absolutely atrocious. I'd never watch that again. I think just have a bit of a good time,
Enjoy it. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you lower your expectations and it turns out to be shit, you're not disappointed. But if it turns out to be good, you're like, fuck, that was good. You're getting me in the mood of watching some zombie films. So I think tonight I'm going to check out The Dead Don't Die. Check that out.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, you can say.
It is. But yeah, I think that's all I have to talk about for this episode of The Earth Saddle. Do you have anything else to add, a good man? Kenan?
We didn't mention at the start, but I think if you're still listening and you want some more podcasts and you want to fill your brain with more interesting insight, a friend of ours and a dear friend of Copper's has started her own podcast, and it is called Real Talk Drama Therapy. And I think no man would be better than Copper because he's even involved in some parts with it. So do tell the lovely audience about this podcast.
So yes, my good friend Heather and her friend Kira are both drama therapists, and basically help people through bad times in their lives by the use of music, art, different things like this. And I think she'll be a great potential guest on this podcast someday. So we'll get her on. But of course, Heather, she actually sings a lot of the backing vocals on a lot of my music, and she starred in a lot of my music videos as well. And she's a very good friend of mine. And she has started this Real Talk Drama Therapy podcast, and I'm helping produce it. So I'm doing like the mixing and the mastering of it, and getting it ready for to be able to put out onto the old Spotify and all that kind of crack. So do go have a listen to that. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the moment. It will be on other ones shortly. But yeah, Real Talk Drama Therapy. And go and follow them and give them some love on the social medias. Or on Instagram as well. Real Talk _Drama Therapy, I do believe. And it's two good people talking about mental health and therapy and drama, and it's all very positive, and hopefully you might be able to get some positive use out of listening to them. Might help your own head, I suppose you could say. And I'm probably terrible at selling that, but there you go. Real Talk Drama Therapy.
Very good.
Best of luck to two girls.
No, I think best of luck to them. I'm definitely saying I'm gonna head down to after this. I'm probably gonna head down to the shop, and I'll bring the headphones and have a listen, because I think like I'd love to have Heather on, and I think we talked about, like, for my my end of year, like, thesis major project thing I did was about mental illness and creativity, and the interlinked. And a friend of mine that I would go to college with, she done something very similar, but she took a different approach. She talked about music therapy, and if it works, and it basically turned out that it did. So I think it'd be really cool to sit down with her, because drama therapy sounds very interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like, and working with being expressive and being creative and fun and wild and carefree in a way. When you're doing drama, it's nerve-wracking, but once you get into it and you really invest yourself, it becomes really exhilarating. So I think it'd be really cool to chat with her. And so best of luck to both of them. We have competitors now. We're gonna trash you. No.
I'll make sure we sound better. Don't worry.
And just edit clips of our podcast into their podcast.
But do go check out the Real Talk Drama Therapy podcast. They can splice this and use this as an ad for them now. It'd be great.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kenan Flannery from the Art Saddle podcast. You're listening to
this.
You're listening to Real Talk Drama Therapy. Pew pew. Well, I think that's all I have for this week. I
think that's been a good old solid chunk of an episode there, I do believe, my good man. So hopefully
I believe so too, my good friend.
Hopefully the listener, if you are still listening this far, thank you very much. That means a lot. You're obviously kind of interested in what we have to say. So if you're listening this far, that's amazing. And if you want to get in touch with us, of course, as Kenan said at the start of the show, go on to our socials. We're on Instagram and Facebook. And we have a YouTube channel where the video of this will go up. And the audio obviously is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, all those good places. But you can get us on the Facebook and the Instagram. It's the Art Saddle Podcast. And also, if you want to email us with any stories or topic ideas, or if you want to come on as a guest perhaps and talk to us, you can email us at theartsaddle@gmail.com. And we're nice enough lads to talk to, so slide into our DMs there and have an old chat.
Now you sold that well.
Did I? I'm getting better at this, so.
You are, yeah. But as you said, if you're still listening, we appreciate you listening. We enjoy hearing what we have to say. So hopefully
we love listening to ourselves.
We love it. We love it. I have so much things to say.
Right now, so much things to say.
Listen to me. I know things that you don't. No, I even said, Carver, I enjoy talking to you. This is our 6th episode.
Yes.
We didn't do a little.
We have fun.
Yeah, we didn't do a little celebration. So I think
Oh no, we'll have to celebrate when we get to episode 100. We're not doing it until then.
Fuck off, will you? I'm gonna get a cake. I'm gonna get a cake for the 10th. I'm gonna get a big. I swear to fuck. I'm not joking to you. I'm gonna get a big.
Me down a slice of it then or something.
Just mouldy slice shows up.
Maybe just
2 weeks
straight into the envelope.
There you go, ramming into the letter. It just gets push through your letterbox. But yeah, I think that'd be cool. Man, that'd be cool. Once we get 100, what do you think? Like we could do like a carpool shit. We could sing songs. There's no front door, and we can do it. And we can do it in the car. It'd be a great idea.
Yeah, it'd be a grand job. Sure, never know. By the time we're doing that, we could be doing live shows or whatever. The whole thing would be massive. It'd be amazing.
Well, we could be cancelled.
We could be cancelled straight enough. Yeah, that's right.
For your
our Jamaican accents and yeah. Down by the beach.
Down by
Ariel. Ariel.
I used to be a
shout out to the Monster
back in my
Fuzz
day.
boys. Shout out to the Monster Fuzz podcast boys. They do that. The Sebastian the Crab very regularly, so I listen to them, have a good bit of crack. But yeah, geez. So yeah, I think that's the episode this week.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting to finish it. We've been finishing it now for the last 10 15 minutes. So.
No, we have a bit of crack. I'll keep you around as long as I can, cover.
That's it. But yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed listening to us, make sure you follow us and subscribe and hit like and share and tell your friends and your enemies and whoever you like to tell about podcasts. Let them know about us. And if you can do a review, I think you can do a review on Apple Podcasts. Give us a nice little review there, and that helps us get out there in front of other people and hopefully build the show and develop the show into something bigger and better as we go. And
that's a wonderful thing. I don't know you could do reviews.
You can, and I think Podcast Addict and Apple Podcasts, you can do reviews. You can't on Spotify or anything, which is kind of, you shouldn't really think about doing that. But anyway, Apple Podcasts and Podcast Addict, you can do it on there.
We have proof now. So if they do that on Spotify, we can like get royalties or something. I don't know. Can we? Can we do something?
No.
Like that?
What
Just
you mean?
Yeah. I don't. Like,
yes. Yes.
If they take it, if they go, we're going to add a Spotify, and we'll be like, well, we told you to.
The idea. No. Yes, of course.
We can
Spotify can make the check out to Kenan and Kelly at the Art Saddle podcast. That's good.
At the Art Saddle podcast, like mail it to that, because we'll find us. Find us.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
I mean,
You'd be surprised.
You would.
That's it for this week, and we will talk to you again next week. Say goodbye, Kenan.
Bye-bye. Slán O'Walya. Tóga Bugé. Dankeschön. Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye-bye. Talk to you next week.